When you come to China, you understand that you know nothing. After a while, people told me that some Chinese guys making pictures of foreign girls outside and telling to their friends that she's my girlfriend. The first time I came to China, I didn't like it. I never had any problems by being Russian. But when the COVID started, everything has changed.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel AfroLev, roaring truths to preserve your pretty voice. And today we have a new guest. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Anastasia. I'm an English and Chinese teacher. I was living in China for 6 years, teaching English there. And after coming back to Russia, I understood that now the Chinese language is more and more popular in Russia, and started to teaching Chinese.
Did you ever think that you would teach Chinese to Russian people?
Never.
Never.
Actually, I never was even thinking that my life will be joined to Chinese language.
My goodness. But I think I have to start from the beginning. How did you find yourself in China? Like, how did you end up there?
At first, actually, as I said, I even didn't think that I will be joined to Chinese language. I was thinking of choosing another specialty, and actually I was studying economics.
Nice.
And actually, the Chinese language was a choice of my mom.
Okay.
And at first it was like, yeah, mom, okay, I will study this language just because of you, to please you, maybe. But as there is a good Russian saying that people are thinking about future, but the God is actually knows what will be with your future. I was studying Chinese at the university. And when I was the fourth year of my education, a friend of mine invited me to some language courses to Chinese university. So it was my first time going abroad, and I was full of expectation to see China in that way, how our teachers were telling us about it. Like, we were studying not only Chinese language, but also history, culture of China. And it was quite interesting because I think that Eastern countries are full of history, and Chinese civilization is one of the oldest in the world, and it's really very full of interesting facts. So I was fond of seeing something super traditional, and to see that stereotyped maybe China that I had in my head. But it was 2012 when the first time I came to China. We were studying at the university Chinese language courses, and that time I didn't like China at all. And the first month I was crying in my bedroom in the dorm, thinking when my education here will finish and I will go back home, because we were struggling with the Chinese food.
Okay, so the food was a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, same. I was in China as well. Two white war hands talking about their experience. Food was always a problem at first.
So in the beginning, because you don't know anything, it's completely different from Russian food. We couldn't find anything similar even. But after a while, people who, like foreigners who were living for a long time in China already, they start telling us about places where we should go, to what should we eat, what should we try, because sometimes Chinese dishes, they have some complicated names that you cannot understand from the name in the menu. And if you read the English translation of it, it makes you even more confused. The first dish I ever tried was at the dormitory canteen. And in English it was written like rice noodles with the chicken.
Yeah.
Sounds good, right?
It does sound good.
But it was not at all. When the waiter brought the dish to our table, I was looking at this disgusting thing and thinking like, it's not mine, please, not mine. Because it was looking like huge worms with plenty of soy sauce and something strange there. And when they told us, like showing the dish in the menu, telling like, "Did you order this?"
Yeah, that's
it. Yeah, it is that. Eat. So at first it was really strange.
I see. What are some of the difficulties besides food that you experienced in China as a Russian person?
If you think that you know Chinese, studying it abroad, when you come to China, you understand that you know nothing. Because they are speaking too fast. Even if you are coming to northern part of China, because they are speaking more close to Mandarin.
Yeah.
The like official language of China that all foreigners are studying. Probably you can understand something, but the speed of the speech is huge. That you sometimes you cannot understand anything. It's making you confused, because I was studying Chinese for 4 years at the university. I came to China and realized that I don't know anything. But after a while, of course, you get used to the way how they're speaking, to some dialects. For example, I was living in Tianjin, not far from Beijing. Even though they are speaking very close to Mandarin, they also have their dialect. Like, for example, the door is men in Mandarin. In Tianjin they are saying mer, so they are making all this error by the ending, and it's confusing. It's like, what do you mean? What the hell is mer? Then after a while you get used to this. In the beginning, I think it's hard to find friends, but I think all foreigners are feeling this in the beginning of their life abroad. But after a while, you find people around that maybe are speaking your language, or they are also foreigners, or some locals who want to practice their English, or just want to have a foreign friend. It's quite famous in China, I think. In the beginning, people were making pictures of me outside, and I couldn't understand why do they do this. I was feeling like, and at first it was a cool feeling.
It was cool. You feel like a celebrity. I had that experience too. Yeah.
In the beginning, I was feeling myself like I'm a superstar, and people are just making pictures of me because I'm famous or something like that. But actually, I was not famous, and I couldn't understand why do they do something like that. After a while, people told me that some Chinese guys making pictures of foreign girls outside and telling to their friends that she's my girlfriend. So it was funny, really. After a while, it's becoming annoying sometimes, because like you want to have your private space. You see how people are trying to hide that they are making picture of you, but actually they are not hiding. It's like they're standing above you in the subway and making the way like they're playing their phone, but actually they are trying to film you and take a photo of you. That was at first cool. After a while, it's that annoying. For after some time, you just don't pay attention on that.
I mean, I relate to a lot of the things she just said, because when you first get to China, it's like you're more like a monument in many ways. People want to take pictures of you, but it gets old fast, because sometimes you want to be, in your own zone. I relate to her being uncomfortable when she first came, because when I first came, I think I stayed in my dormitory for like 4 months. I didn't want to go out because I didn't understand the food. People wanted to take pictures of me. So it's a bit overwhelming at first. And then later I started to film myself too. So I'm going, yeah, take a picture, you know. But later, you know, you start to feel a little bit uncomfortable. If you stay there for like 7 years, I stayed there for 7. You stay there for
6.
For 6
years.
So like it becomes repetitive and repetitive.
Yeah,
and
every
repetitive.
day, and it's getting annoying. It was funny the first time we went to the zoo, and there was like place where a panda was living, and we were making like it was the first time I saw panda in my life, so I was making a picture of panda, and Chinese people were making a picture of me. So I was feeling myself like that panda in the cage, being photoed every day, every single hour. I don't know. Sometimes it's annoying. Yeah. But actually, Chinese are very friendly.
Yeah, they mean well. They mean well.
They don't want to harm you or to make something uncomfortable for you. They are, you know, they are very simple and friendly, actually. So yeah, the first time I came to China, I didn't like it. As I said, after a while, when I already found some friends, I get used to the area. I start understanding that China is completely different from the thing that we were taught at the university. It's not that traditional country. It's a real modern, really very fast-growing country. Yeah. And actually, that time the gap, I think, the gap between people who were super rich and people who were super poor was really very huge, because I saw people outside or in super expensive cars, and at the same times people who were riding rotated bicycle, and they were not so-called middle class people, not that many. So that, I think, was the biggest difference between Russia, because we have poor people, of course, we have rich people, but mostly we are like middle class people, with the middle salaries, overaged salaries, something like that. So in the beginning it was shocking that the neighborhood of these two like the top and the lowest thing
just like combined,
combined together at the same place. But the way how China is growing is really super fast, because the second time when I came to China and I already stayed there for like leaving, it was only after 4 years, and for these 4 years everything completely changed. Like 4 years ago there were a lot of people super poor, I don't know, selling some vegetables on the street. And after 4 years, you will never find something like this. They are all riding, like driving good cars. They are all living good life. They are making business. They are making money. And that's way how China is growing. That I think there is no country in the world which doesn't have any relationships with China. Like every country is selling something to China or buying something from China. That made me to change my mindset to Chinese side.
I see.
Yeah. I think maybe the reason why I moved to China was that time I was young. I was not experienced. Yeah, but I was younger. I was younger. I just graduated the university, and every time when I was trying to find job in Russia, I faced the problem that people wanted to find somebody who is experienced. Somebody who I don't know. Being a woman in Russia is also another difficulty, I think, because
I think a lot of places as well.
Probably. Because every time when I came to interview, they were asking me like, "Are you married? If I said
Oh, yeah.
no, I'm not. Do you have children? No, I'm not. I'm young. I just graduated from the university. They were rejecting my application just because they were thinking that after a while
You
she'll
get
get married,
pregnant
she
and
will
then you
get
leave.
pregnant,
And
yeah, she will take a maternity leave, and it's from one side it's good that it's really long period of time in Russia. You can stay on maternity leave for 3 years in Russia.
3 years.
Yeah.
My wife's gonna love this one.
Yeah. 1.5 year, the company should pay the full salary for you, and another 1.5 year they are paying like some part of it, I think. So nobody wants to take such obligations on
I mean,
themselves.
just like gonna pay you for nothing.
Yeah,
basically,
yeah,
you know?
you're not working and they had to pay because it's a law. They cannot do anything with this, but nobody wants to pay extra money. That's why I think it was a big problem, and I was too curious to give my knowledge to the world.
I see.
I think because I was studying since I remember myself, since I was 5 years old. I started studying, and all the time I was thinking that finally I will finish my education and I can grow in a career. I can do something interesting. And when I already came to this point, then I can give something that I already know. I understood that nobody needs my knowledge, and it was frustrating, really. I started feeling myself super bad because it's a big pressure on you.
Oh, yeah.
And after a while, I understood that I don't want to stay here. I don't want to live here. I want to change something. I already had some friends back in China since I was studying there. So they told me that you can come here and try to find a job in China. It's much easier for foreigners to find a job there. So like, you know English, you can teach English, maybe you can try yourself here. So that's how I moved there.
I see. And what did you like about living in China?
There are two things, I think.
Two? Okay, only two.
No, there are many things too. Why should you like China?
Okay.
But personally, for me, I think I like to be a foreigner in China.
Okay, explain.
Because when you're a foreigner, you can find the community of people from that. Being a foreigner is making you closer to each other.
Oh yeah.
I think you know this feeling. Like
I know that
if you're entering the restaurant or cafeteria and you see a foreigner, even if you don't know each other, you will say hi to each other, right?
Yeah.
Being Russian, I cannot do something like that. So, yeah, saying hi.
You might get
people
somebody,
will think that I'm weird.
Yeah.
So being a foreigner, you can find easily friends and like talking with people from different countries. Now I can surely say that I have friends all over the world, on every continent, from many countries. And one day, if I would like to have a world round trip,
you can just stay for free all over everywhere. The world. She's smart. You see, she made friends with so many foreigners.
So yeah, it's really cool. It's also like it's enlarging your mindset, I think, and I think that's what we need to teach our children.
Yes,
actually, that people all are different, and we need to travel more, because when we know people from different countries, we understand their traditions, we understand their lifestyle, and we become kinder to each other, I think. We become more intelligent, and life in general will be kinder if people will think about others, not only because we are from different countries, but like we are all humans, we are all
Exactly.
equal people. We just have different traditions, that's all. It's breaking stereotypes, and actually stereotypes stereotypes are the worst thing. Sometimes they come to be like they are turning to be a truth.
They
right?
come from some little glimmer of truth. Yeah,
but most of stereotypes are just view of one person, maybe.
True.
As I watched one of your interviews when you were saying that you are a good husband. You're trying to be a good husband because you're not only representing yourself as a person. You're representing
the whole African
yourself,
continent because they just say African.
Yeah, African husband is like that. Actually, sometimes I also felt like this, and when people were saying something not pleasant things about Russian girls or Slavic girls in general, I was trying, or about Russians. Like there are lots of foreigners are thinking that Russians are cold, closed-hearted. Like it's really hard to be friends with Russians. For me, I don't know. It was like an idea to show the people that we are not cold. We are cool people. We are super friendly. We are open. That we are open. We are open-minded, and we're trying to. Just to be the same as you. No, we are not different from you.
Yeah, I agree with that because like before I came to Russia, I didn't even know my wife was Russian. Because when I met her,
she was hiding that from you.
No, because she's half Arabic and half Russian.
Oh.
So I didn't even know. And then my friends would always say, "Oh, Russian girls are so cold." When I got to know my wife to be, who's my wife right now, and she's like, "I'm Russian." I'm like, "No, you're not." She's like, "Yes, I am."
You're kidding me.
All the Russian people I have ever met are just so welcoming. Maybe at first glance, you think the person is like not that forthcoming, because in Russia, it's a bit weird if you walk up to somebody and smile for no reason. They think that you're.
I think it's strange in every country.
Yeah.
If you
okay, my country is kind of different because. The strange thing is people can be like, "Hi,"
So you also will think that the person is.
Yeah, and now I feel weird because I go home, people are like, "Hi," I'm like, maybe I'm too Russian now, but I'm like, "Hi," they're like, "What's wrong with this guy? He's so rude." But I'm the nicest guy ever, So when you actually become friends with Russian people, you realize, damn, it's really genuine because you're not getting like a fake smile. It's real, So yeah, that's her and I kind of have the same agenda. Because it's like, if I do something stupid, they're going to say, "Oh, Africans are like this." And that's what I'm trying to change. That's why we have these interviews so that you guys can see different perspectives, etc. But going back to China, living in China as a Russian person, how do the Chinese people treat Russian people?
Oh, actually, really good because every time when I was saying that it was before COVID. Let's make a point on this.
COVID is okay.
Yeah, COVID is the worst thing that ever happened to us. Before COVID, every time when people were asking me where you're from, and if I said that I'm Russian, Chinese people. They start telling that, "Oh, Russia, our big brother, we like Russian people, we like Russia, we like Putin," or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
So actually, they were really very kind, and we never had any problems by being. I never had any problems by being Russian. But when the COVID started, everything has changed But also, I think it belongs to some political situation, I think.
Oh yeah, it's like the allies are combining, so I guess it's like, of course you have to be good friends and you people have to like each other, so
that's also the point. But I was going to say about different thing. I think you remember there was in WeChat and the Messenger, the application in China, there was during the COVID there was like an article or is like a button there. You could see how many cases of COVID is in city, in country in general, how many are in the hospital, how many people are dead. So you could check the statistics every day. And COVID was really scary thing.
It was.
And I think that's why I like Chinese actually also, because they are very disciplined.
Very, very disciplined, yeah.
Super disciplined people. Like, for example, in Moscow, when during COVID, when there was a lockdown, people had to stay in there. People had to stay at home. So I'm from south of Russia, right? There is the Sochi is close to my hometown. And when there was a lockdown in Moscow, all people went to Sochi because there was April, I think, or beginning of May. So it was like spring, and this time it's already warm weather on the south of Russia. So most of people start traveling somewhere by taking a rest. They understood this lockdown as a way of extra holidays, I think. In China, when the COVID started and the government told everybody to stay at home, everybody stayed at home. There was no people outside at all. There was only 1 or 2 persons that you can see randomly somewhere, but they were already trying to get back home as quick as they could. So by going back to this application where you can see the statistics, there was a time when the statistics inside country was 0, and there was a new line there, new coming cases of disease. So they were like people who came to China from other countries. But nobody explained that China was the first country that closed the border.
Yes.
And I think that was the reason why they fight the COVID that fast. So nobody told that the China's border is closed and people who are coming back to China are Chinese. And everybody started thinking that people who are coming from other countries, they're foreigners.
I remember this,
And it was terrible, really. The first time I felt myself a victim of racism. Because when you go to the shop, and it was a funny story. I went to the supermarket, the local supermarket next to my place where I was living, and I'm talking to the shop assistant. Because like I was the only foreigner in the neighborhood, and of course everybody knew me. I was talking to the shop assistant, and there was a lady checking something on the shelf next to me, and she didn't see me. She just heard me. So she didn't pay attention that there's somebody, like there are 2 people talking. She didn't pay attention on that. But after a while, she looked at me and she saw that I'm not Asian, and she ran away as fast as she could.
Oh my God! Okay.
Almost screaming. I'm kidding, not screaming, of course, but she left the place that fast. I was shocked. Like, what's wrong with her? The lady with whom I was talking, she told me, like, don't pay attention, it's because of this policy that foreigners are coming, bringing COVID to China. I told her that actually no foreigners can come back to China. I have a friend, she's Russian.
Yeah.
Her husband is Chinese. And she is from Buryatia. Do you know there's a district, like a region in Russia? They are also Asians, but they are Russian Asians. And she came back before COVID started. She came back to Russia. They had some holidays, or I don't know, like maybe some national holiday, or she had something in her family. So she came back home, and she couldn't come to China because the border was closed. Her husband and her son was in China. She was in Russia, and she couldn't come back to her family for 1.5 years. Imagine 1.5 years without seeing your family just because you're a foreigner. just because you are not holding Chinese passport. And here I know the situation, and people are saying, oh, foreigners are coming to China bringing COVID. I was like, okay, that's not like this. They're like, and I was here, I was in China all the time. Some people were reacting normally, some people were strange. Many times I'm booking a taxi from the application. When I'm getting into the car, the taxi driver sees me being a foreigner and telling me I'm not going anywhere. Get out of my car.
Oh yeah.
And that was really not good time for us.
Yeah, that was a tough period. I remember even just walking into the supermarket, and once again, it's like it skimmed from this feeling of thinking that foreigners were bringing the COVID. So all of us, for once, we were all looped in the same bracket or the same bubble, where it's like we kind of felt like we were being stigmatized. Of course, I think the people were thinking like, of course, if the news says many foreigners are coming in, the chances of me getting it are higher. So I always try to look from their perspective, but I guess in the moment I just felt like pretty terrible. Really terrible.
It was hard.
Yeah.
It's like you are free, but you're feeling yourself imprisoned, because even when we start working, I remember there were some holidays and I wanted to go to another city to see my friends, and my employer told me that you cannot go anywhere, you should stay here. Even if you go somewhere to, like, if you go to another city, when you come back, you should stay for 2 weeks at home. Because maybe you can bring something from another city. So it was difficult time, really.
Let's see. Yeah, that's. She left before the second wave.
Yeah, I was really thanking the God for that, because I know that the second wave was even stronger.
It was terrible.
It was harder.
Yeah, and that was like the zero COVID policy. So what they meant was basically that if there is one case of COVID, we are all going on lockdown. Sort of to like stamp down and force people to like follow the rules, which I feel like I respected it in the sense that Chinese people followed it. Because if it was my country, oh my God, zero COVID still. You're kidding, right? So they really clamped down on it, and it was extremely difficult. I remember I was still in university at the time. I stayed in my dormitory for 6 months. I was like, what if I need food? They're like, we'll bring it to you. Just write an order. But what if I need, we'll bring it to you.
But because you were at the dormitory.
Yeah. And it's worse
I
there.
didn't have that.
She didn't have that. It was worse for us because if we got COVID, it would become an international situation. African students in this university got COVID. It would be all over the news. So the university was extremely careful. And I remember vividly, because she's talking about sort of being stigmatized, I remember vividly I was singing in the studio, because I used to make music. Well, I make music now, not as much. I was recording and I was parched. I didn't drink enough water. So I kind of started to choke and I panicked. So I went into a state of shock.
Probably I got sick.
Oh yeah. And basically my jaw locks. Because I guess when people panic, right, we have our different reactions. Maybe you sweat, maybe your jaw locks, maybe you freeze. For me, my jaw locks. So I couldn't breathe. And my friend's like, oh shit, we need to go to the hospital. So we went to the campus hospital. And as soon as the staff saw me, they ran out of the building. And we were just like, so we went to the doctor, like, what? He's like,
No.
sorry, we got the translator. He's like, 我会中文. I speak Chinese. He's like, 不能. I was like, what do you mean 不能? Like, that means like
explain.
you can't. Just like 不能, 谢谢, bye bye. It's like, okay. So I had to go to another hospital, and it was just shock, basically. I got some pills to calm down because I was choking. And I guess my mind was sort of trapped, right? But that was scary because I was like, whoa, if I was sick during that period, I was basically screwed. Yeah. But yeah, that was a tough period.
At least your university was taking care of you.
Exactly.
I was working that time. I rent apartment, and for 7 months we didn't work. and the employer was saying like, no work, no money.
Yeah,
Nobody
I was also
paid
there during that
us.
time. Yeah, so
Nobody
yeah.
paid us. I even don't know how did they survive. I think because I was asking, like my friends and family helped me really a lot that time, because I was just asking them about some to send me some money, because it was really hard. Nobody brought us food. Nobody gave us any medicine or something. I had a really cute landlord. Sometimes she was cooking something, and she came to the place where I was living. She brought me something, and it was really very nice of her. But it's just a personal, I don't know, kindness.
Yeah.
Nobody, like the employer, never was even thinking like, are you okay there? Nobody asked, how do you feel, are you sick or not, do you need something or not. And this is one of the characteristics of Chinese people, I think, in general, because they are really very straight-minded to earning money. And if you are making money for them, they will make you the god of themselves. Like they will, like for me, I was the goddess. She was like the principal of the school where I was working. She was trying to give me the best apartment that she could find. She was trying to make me as much comfortable as she could. But the time when I was not making money for her,
Okay.
I was abandoned. Nobody took care. Like, how does she live there? Is she okay? Does she have something to eat or not? That's difficult to understand, because I think most of people, I can speak about people in Russia, maybe in general, right? Because if we are friends with somebody, we are real friends, and we can help you in any situation. We have a saying like, "I will give you my last short if you need."
Let's show.
Yes.
Okay. Like the shirt off my back.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, no.
Okay.
In Russia, we have saying that if you need something, and if you are in need, and I have the last short, I will give it to you.
It's the same thing in English. Like I'll give you the shirt off my back. Basically.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we can share everything what we have with our friends.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter in good or bad situations. It's like in marriage, wealth and health.
Yeah.
But in China, when you're thinking that you're becoming really good friends with somebody, after a while you understand that it's just a business. It's not nothing even common to be a friendship, and it's frustrating sometimes. For 6 years living there, I have only one really very close friend. And maybe because she's working with foreigners for a long time, and even her husband was saying that probably she's a migrant. she's a foreigner. She became as a foreigner because she was working with foreigners for too long. So she started having the foreign mind. But and this is hard, that when you're expecting from people whom you're considering as a friend, you're expecting some support, and when you don't get the support, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is tough. I think fear does a lot to people. It kind of shows you the worst side and the best side of people. Because of course, not every single person was terrible during the period, but you bump into people that react react to it in the most negative way possible. And I feel like COVID sort of scared people to the extent where it's just like, I don't even think they knew what they were doing, but they were more concerned about their own safety or their own well-being.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it was about surviving, I think.
It was survival, but it did hurt. Of course, it definitely did hurt. Which brings me to the last few set of questions. I'm going to ask you maybe three more. Let's speak about your Chinese. I mean, it's incredible that you are a Russian woman that teaches people Chinese. How long did it take for you to learn Chinese, and what would you classify your Chinese level as? Like, how would you regard it?
Um, I was studying Chinese for 5 years at the university. Plus 6 months the first time when I came to China. That 6 months, I can think that I covered even more information that I had learned from 4 years at the university. And after a while, after I graduated the university, I was working for 4 years without using Chinese at all. And Chinese is not that language that we are using every time. So English, it's easier to practice in Russia because at first we have a lot of words that are similar in English and in Russian. We are listening to American music. We are watching American movies. So if you know language, you can watch it in English, and it's easier to not to forget this language if you're studying it. But with Chinese, it's harder because, and also it depends on person. Personally, me, I'm not a big fan of Chinese movies, dramas.
Not really too. I tried.
Chinese music or something like that. Actually, I was never a big fan of China in this way. That's why it's harder to practice. It's harder to keep the same level of your English of your language. So for 4 years, I can say that I almost forgot Chinese at all. And when I came back to China, I could say something like "谢谢," I don't know, ask about some directions, like where is the subway, something like this, some couple of phrases that you need for living, and that's all. I couldn't say that I could speak Chinese. But for a couple years living in China, at first I remembered everything that I was studying before. I passed the HSK 5. It is international exam for a Chinese level. So in comparison with the English HSK 5, I think it's like C1 in English. Yeah. HSK 6 is like C2.
Could you show off your Chinese to the audience? Maybe something simple.
Tell me what you want me
can
to
you
say.
please? I speak Chinese too, by the way.
我们会说中文。
我可以说中文，所以你觉得
你的咖啡怎么样？
还可以吧？
还可以吗？
不太好，但是我觉得不错，不错啊。
你为什么不喜欢？
因为我觉得我的最喜欢的咖啡是那个餐馆，我忘了这个Surf Coffee。OK， 对啊，所以我喝了，然后我看这个，我说这个不好。对，
我觉得咖啡的品质不太好。
对啊，是这样子。As you can see. Sounds like if you turn off the camera and then listen to her speak. Very natural. Very natural.
Yeah. Some people were asking me, it was funny because I don't look like Asian, I think. I'm not looking like classical Slavic girl, right? Like blonde with blue eyes. Nobody actually even thought that I'm Russian when I was living in China. I think I have international appearance because people were saying that I'm Turkish, Arab, I don't know, British, American, whatever.
You could basically be from anywhere.
Actually, right. When I was teaching English in China, I was Canadian. I was pretending that I'm Canadian. That's funny. That's
Sneaky.
funny, yeah.
I mean, you could get away with it. Yeah.
No, actually, it was not my idea.
No, it's always training centers sometimes.
Training
Andy, you're
centers.
from America.
Yeah, tell the parents that you are a native speaker.
Yeah.
Because nobody take cares of the.
Nobody really cares. As long as you look like a native speaker, then.
And while your English is not that bad, they're thinking that you are a native speaker. So yeah, as I say, I kind of have an international appearance, and that's why people never could guess that I'm Russian.
Mhm.
And usually sometimes they even ask me like, are you Xinjiang? Xinjiang, it's like a district.
Oh, Xinjiang, yes, I know Xinjiang.
It's a
yes.
province.
Yeah, the
in
Uyghurs.
China.
Yeah.
The Uyghurs, right? The province in China. They are looking actually they are very close to Uzbeks.
Yeah, pretty similar.
The very common nationalities.
Muslim, yeah.
But actually they are also Asians. So when people were saying that I'm looking like Chinese, but from that district, I was surprised. Like, am I? Am I looking like Chinese? Sometimes it was funny because people were talking with me on the phone, and after a while, when we met personally, they couldn't understand that that's me because the expectation and reality didn't fit each other.
It's the same thing when you order like something on Waimai. That's like the Chinese. What's the equivalent? The app that
for
you
delivery.
order food, right?
Yeah, delivery app.
Right, and I would call them, be like, 在哪儿? Be like, 我现在在二楼. And then they come up with like,
你是外国人吗？
你是外国人？你是那个？就是你吗？不可能. And I'm like, oh, it's me. It's like, you're lying. I'm like, no, seriously. Then we laugh for like 3 minutes.
It's funny.
Yeah. So learning the language, it has its perks, of course. It's very useful.
I think, learning every language is a really interesting thing. You're learning not only the language, you're not only trying to understand the language, you're trying to understand another culture as well.
Exactly.
That's why actually when we are, I think you're also doing something like that, when we are teaching foreign languages, being a teacher, when we are teaching foreign languages, we are trying to trying to show the culture, the like kind of a little bit of history of different countries, to open some mindsets of our students.
Exactly. So, last question, I guess, because we're flowing. We're flowing pretty well. The video might be too long for you guys, because I know in this generation we have TikTok brains. So
yeah, the generation of short
yeah,
videos.
you might not get to the end. So
we can make cuts, shorts.
Yeah, we'll make shorts for you. For the people with the low attention span, do not worry, we have you covered. But the last question I wanted to ask you, I ask every single interviewee after every interview. If I was a foreigner, well, I am a foreigner. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a foreigner.
You're looking like some people from the south of Russia. I
definitely look like a Slavic person. So, but what advice would you give to a foreigner if they asked you if they should come to Russia, they should move to Russia or not? What would you tell them?
To move to Russia, I think it's a hard question because at first you need to try. But you definitely need to come to Russia for traveling, because Russia is a super interesting country. It's a huge country with different climate zones, with different natural zones. You can find some subtropical climates on the south of Russia. You can see the sea, the mountains all together at one place, and it's incredibly beautiful. You can go to the north of Russia and see some unique natural things. You can see the unique, animals, nature around yourself. So traveling in Russia definitely worth that. And not only Moscow and St. Petersburg, that's usually all the foreigners are trying to visit. Of course, Moscow and St. Petersburg is full of history of Russia and the main cities in Russia. But other parts of Russia are showing the soul of Russian people, I think. Because Moscow and St. Petersburg, they are more business centers. If we are talking about St. Petersburg, it's more some cultural center of Russia, we call it like that. But if you go to the provinces, to other parts, you will see Russia as itself. Okay. You will see it naturally, friendly, warm, tasty, and I'm quite sure you will like it.
All right, well, you heard it here first. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
really
inviting
appreciate it. Right. All right, guys. So I will see you in the next one. And as always, we are moving truths to preserve your pretty voice. Ciao.